Oi, shalom, 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 shalom. As always, first I want to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who are leading this word in truth and spirit and sincerity. And salutations to my fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers out there that are working the fields, harvesting, laboring righteously in the name of Yahweh, Wahasham, Yahweh Shai. Shalom, shalom, shalom to the hopeful elect brothers and sisters who have been edified by the truth of the scriptures. Today's edification is called the microchip implants is the mark before Armageddon. The microchip implants is the mark before the Armageddon. As I always say, for those that continue to disbelieve where we are going, where the next steps are for the elites and the Illuminati, for the rulers that rule in the darkness, in the shadow, for the principalities and the powers that they are working with, for those that still doubt what it is we are preaching and teaching regarding the microchip. Let's just play this short video.
And have you ever thought about being able to unlock your car or pay at the store just by waving your hand? Well, a body piercing expert is bringing that to the future in Lansing with a new product. Josh Sanchez is here for you with a look at chip implants.
I went for, I guess you could say, my final piercing apprenticeship at a shop, and I was there, and things were not progressing the way I wanted my career to go.
Tefera Lanier goes by Hades in the artist community. In February 2021, after selling nearly everything he had, Lanier opened his shop, Flesh, in Lansing's Old Town district.
With this shop comes a lot of innovation. So I'm trying to innovate the entire body art industry when it comes down to body piercing and bring it over to enhancements.
Lanier was interested in technology, so he combined it with his love of body modification to come up with this.
I felt that it belongs in the body enhancement industry. It is an enhancement. The future will be based on it.
The implants with RFID.
You hear that? It's an enhancement. The future will be based on the microchip. They know. This Jake is all a part of this new world order. He's all a part of this transhumanism system, implants. He's fully signed up to it, and many Israelites are going to be fully signed up to it because these same Israelites are the ones that are going to draw you in. And you know the thing about these Israelites? They love tattoos. Israelites love tattoos more than Esau. Israelites are tattooing themselves everywhere these days. And these are the places that they're going to introduce the chip to you in these body piercing tattoo parlors. This is how you're going to see local branches and shops everywhere providing the service for you to have this. But listen to what this Jake says.
ID and NFC technology can be connected to smart devices, and it can act like a virtual wallet. The implants are not completely new. Employees at a company in Wisconsin were voluntarily chipped in 2019. Lanier says it's as safe as getting an earring.
Infection rate is minimum, depending on who you are, depending on if you take care of it. That's with any piercing or any enhancement done to your body.
The implants will run around $200, and Lanier says he's excited to be the first to offer them in Lansing.
I'm here at a time in life when this was unheard of, when it was just movies as a child, you know.
Yeah, when this was unheard of, when it was movies as a child. And we always tell you that what the Illuminati do is they show you what they're going to do in the future in their movies. That's one of the main avenues of them providing you with where they're going in the future is their movies. And he just said it. He said he remembers this bit of movies as a child, and now it's out there, and he is providing a service for. And they're gonna have Jakes just like this, these happy, good, lucky, smiling Jakes that own these tattoo parlors and these piercing shops. This is how you're gonna see it on every shop. There's probably a tattoo parlor in every neighborhood, piercing shops, ear piercing shops. These are the places where you're gonna be going to get this microchip from, just like what he's saying.
So now to see that this is actually a thing that's happening and I'm a part of it, it's historical.
You see? IUIC don't want to believe this. They don't want to believe that this thing is happening. IUIC don't want to believe this. ISUPK don't want to believe that this is a thing that's real and it is the mark. A microchip implant is the mark before Armageddon.
Here for you in Lansing, Josh Sanchez, 6.
He's making it clear to you. Let's have a listen to this one.
У меня в руках 5 чипов, 3 здесь, один в среднем пальце правой руки и один здесь. Пропуск от работы основной, который используется в среднем пальце, его удобно прикладывать. Вот, данные визитных карточек хранятся в левом запястье.
He's got his business card in his right wrist, in his left wrist. Right?
В правом запястье чип для экспериментов с транспортными системами. Для того, чтобы пройти на работу, да, нужно достать бумажник, вытащить оттуда карточку, приложить ее, засунуть обратно, не потерять, это очень важно, потому что моя жена получила свой чип после того, как потеряла 4 карточки. Вместо этого отработанным движением рука прикладывается к считывателю, ты не замечаешь вокруг находящуюся инфраструктуру.
See that? Where is he getting money from? Where is he using the microchip? He's going to an ATM. So you can use it on the ATM. And soon the ATM is not going to provide you with any physical cash at all. It's going to be a place for you to check your balance or for you to top up your microchip. So instead of money coming out of the ATM, he's going to wave his hand against it and he can add credit to his microchip. Buy or sell, buy or sell. Revelations 13 and 16. He's showing you, he's using his microchip on an ATM machine.
Это сурово упрощает жизнь. Это сами чипы без инжектора. Маленькие размером 1,5 на 7 мм, большие 2 на...
See that? That's the mark. That is the mark of the beast, what he has in his hands. He said the big one is 2 by 12 millimeters. We're nearly there.
12 мм. Никаких вещей, кроме идентификации, да, и получения какого-то удовольствия от этого. Потому что медицинские имплантируемые устройства пока не достигли того уровня миниатюризации, того уровня потребления энергии, которое бы хотелось бы для того, чтобы их можно было использовать в общей практике.
Last one.
Touch the wallet and pay for something just with the wave of your hand, would you?
One company in Europe is hoping more people jump in on the microchip bandwagon. The British-Polish company Walletmore is selling microchip implants as an alternative to carrying your wallet or your purse.
You hear that? Is it not spelled out clear enough for you? All of these news reports are in the last month. These are not old news reports we're looking at. These are brand new news reports, 2022. What does he say here? Microchip payment implants. What is she using to pay? On a contactless machine, where before you would take your credit card out and wave it across that contactless machine to pay for your payments without typing in your 4-digit code. Now she's just waving her hand. But people still refuse to believe that this is the mark of the beast. It gets clearer. It's as clear as day. It's as clear as a blue sky. Well, let's see.
All right, so what does this mean and how does it work? The chip actually gets implanted into your body.
What?
Preferably on the hand.
No.
And then it's activated through a mobile app.
Right now, the $300 chips are only available in the UK, but right now, over 200 people have gotten this chip implant.
I inserted a potato chip into my body yesterday.
Yes.
It was delicious.
And that's the only chip I'm going to be eating is a potato chip, just like the man said. But yeah, that's trending now. Is it not trending now? Come on. I mean, what more evidence do we need to actually see this is where it's at, this is where we're going? It's as simple as day. Now the scripture, let's just go. I mean, we're going to do what we do best. Let's just quickly pull out a few scriptures here, right? Let's see, let me share the screen. It's there, man. It's as clear as day. As clear as day. Keep going to it. We have to keep reiterating what it is. This is the beast's mark. The beast from the earth. All right? As we always tell you, the beast is the European Union and NATO, one and the same thing. All of the members of the European Union make up members of NATO. The head of NATO is America. It's their system that they're going to implement. This is how they're going to get the world to worship the beast. Its system, its philosophy. I can't stop speaking about this. So when it says there, and the beast from the earth, this ain't talking about some animals. This is not Leviathan we're talking about, or Behemoth. The actual beast that exists on this earth that the Most High is not going to release. And when I say release, to reveal him to the world until the war of Armageddon, until the day of judgment. This beast here is talking about the European Union and NATO, the elites that control the European Union, the elites that control NATO, the Illuminati, the principalities of power. This is what this is talking about. This is NATO and the EU, one and the same thing. So when it says, I beheld another beast coming up out the earth and had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. That's talking about the United States of America. The two horns are symbolic for the Republicans and the Democrat, the two-party system that exists around the whole world, that goes all the way back to the Roman system, the plebeians and the patricians. The plebeians were the workers, the patricians were the elites. The two horns, the Democrats, the Republicans. Like a lamb, and he spake like a dragon. That dragon is its military. The dragon is the beast, is NATO. That's why it says it spake like a dragon. Symbolic, the power of a dragon. That's its military arm, which is NATO. Because America's the head of NATO, remember, right? And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, which was it's talking about the fourth beast in the book of Daniel, right? Which is the Roman Empire. It exercises the same power as the first beast before him, the Roman Empire. That's why it has a two-party system. That's why it has a Senate. The Romans had a Senate. America has a Senate. The Romans had a two-party system. The plebeians and the patricians. America has it. Democrats and Republicans. That's why it said it spake like the first beast. The Romans were a military might. The Americans are a military might. And he causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. whose deadly wound was healed. That's why we will say it's the reincarnation. This whole system is geared up and getting ready for this last push, for the final push. The Illuminati are getting ready for the final push, which is the microchip implant, which will eventually lead us to the war of Armageddon. Why do you think they're talking up this war so much? They're talking up this war between Ukraine and Russia so much. They're boosting the Ukrainians' confidence so much that we're going to give them this weapons and that weapons, because it's all geared to lead to the war of Armageddon. It's all geared to lead to the whole system collapsing. The whole financial systems, fiat money systems, to collapse. The dollar, the pound, the euro, the ruble, the yuan, for everything to go digital. Because the microchip is going to play, just like we saw in that video, it's going to be the cornerstone of the new currency, the microchip. What you're going to be using to pay for things with. Your credit cards are going to become obsolete. Your fiat money that you withdraw out the bank, it's all going to become obsolete. It says, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, the Roman Empire, which is the fourth beast in the book of Daniel, sorry. And he causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Deadly wound was healed. Remember that all goes back to Revelations 20, right? Part and parcel. This is how, to give you a bit more understanding. Revelations 20, I believe, right? When it says here, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit is symbolic, metaphoric for Europe. It has no, the Western Europe has no, known resources and minerals. What you can get in Russia, Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East, or in Africa. And a great chain in his hand, symbolic. A great chain did represent the time when the beast, before his deadly wound was healed, which is the Roman Empire, was no longer a power. When Esau no longer ruled the Roman Empire. When it split into two, you had the western part and the eastern part of the Roman Empire. The eastern part was called the Byzantine Empire. So it says, and he laid hold of the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. That's when Esau's power was no longer a play in the world, in the known world. That's when the Roman Empire, the western part of the Roman Empire, was no longer a power in the world. It was the eastern part that became the strength, the power, under what we call Jake, people of color. Israelites ruled the eastern part of the Roman Empire. The last European ruler of the western part of the Roman Empire, the Edomite ruler, was under the Vespasian dynasty. And it would have been his younger son, Vespasian's younger son to Titus, Domitian. I think he was the emperor until 96 AD. So this is when this beast, which was the Roman Empire, in particularly the western part of the Roman Empire, because the eastern part was known as the Byzantine Empire, and its headquarters was now based in modern day Turkey, what we know today as Istanbul, which back then it was called Constantinople. That was its HQ. This is when this beast was bound 1,000 years, the Roman Empire and its whole system and its wickedness that it was perpetrating across all of the territories that it conquered and ruled over. It was bound 1,000 years. This is not talking about an actual dragon. The dragon represents the Roman Empire for its power. And he cast him into the bottomless pit, which is what we know today as Europe, and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more, that these Edomites would no longer deceive the nations that they ruled over, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loose in a little season. How was he loose in a little season? That's when these Europeans started to do their ventures to the Americas. Columbus came over on the ships to the Americas, came to the West Indies, Cuba, Puerto Rico. That's when he was loosened for a little. That was the beginning of the loosening of the little season. That was the beginning of the sense of the healing. The healing of the wound kind of began around the time of when the Spanish and the Portuguese, King Ferdinand of Portugal and Queen Isabella of Spain, when they conquered the last Moors stronghold, Granada in Spain, to conquer the Moors. The Moors were Israelites that was practicing Islam. So you go back to the times of Queen Isabella, Ferdinand, and before that, even you could even go back probably to the deadly wound started to heal around the time of El Cid, who was working for the Spanish royalty to fight against the Moors, even though he was working on both sides at some point, El Cid. So this is when that deadly wound was healed, when this 1,000 years of these Edomites that were pushed out of Europe, that went back into the Caucasus Mountains, why we call them Caucasians, because that's where they were pushed. They were pushed out of Europe, went up into the Caucasus Mountains, and that's where they dwelt for roughly 1,000, 1,000, 1,100 years around before they started to trickle back into Europe and conquer little parts of Europe again. So when it says here, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and that was fulfilled, they was out of power. Esau was no longer in power for those 1,000 years. They referred to it as the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages because Europe was ruled by people of color. So they called it the Dark Ages. The bubonic plague played a major part in killing of many Israelites and people of color in Europe that helped these Edomites to conquer. It says, and after that he must be loosened a little season. So that's them being loosened a little season. Columbus coming to the Americas. Queen Ferdinand and Isabella giving him the commission to come. The Cortez brothers coming to South America, North America. Columbus went to the West Indies, should I say, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and those places. And then little by little, Esau was coming into power, taking back more and more of Europe. So this is that deadly wound that was healed. If we go back to when it says here, whose deadly wound was healed. That's the Roman Empire, because everything that they do is based on the Roman Empire system. Some of it comes from the Babylonians and the Egyptians, but predominantly this system that we live under today is totally based on the Roman Empire. And part of its destruction is gonna be similar to how the Roman Empire was no longer a power. The cracks started to show in the Roman Empire when they started to melt the gold and silver coins and mix them with brass and copper. So they diluted the money system. So the gold coins and the silver coins lost their values because they was melting them down and creating new coins, but they was mixing the new gold coins and the new silver coins and giving them different values, and they was mixing them with copper and brass. So what do they do today? They print money. They call it quantitative easing, stimulus packages. They print money. Every central bank prints money for their governments and loans it to them. It's the same thing. They're diluting the money. And this is why the whole fiat money system is going to collapse. This is why it's all going to go digital. And this is why the microchip is going to play a major part in the new digital currency as a payment system. And he does great wonders to say, make his fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men during World War II, the true atom bombs that they dropped down. That was the beginning of them showing their great wonders. And then what they did in Vietnam, napalm, they was using napalm to destroy most of Vietnam. Napalm are fire bombs that they dropped from airplanes. And it's a bomb that sets up a fire that reaches something like the heat of the sun. Correct me if I'm wrong. But before that, it was the 2 atom bombs. And I spoke about this many times before. Albert Einstein splitting the atom. The Most High put the spirit on him to do that because he needed Albert Einstein to split the atom for Oppenheimer to create the first atom bomb. Because these same 2 things that happen with Einstein and Oppenheimer is going to play a part in these last days for the war of Armageddon. But before the war of Armageddon, World War III, the microchip, the mark of the beast, which we're going to come to now, got to be in play. So we've seen all of these prophecies being fulfilled. It's just that if you're not spiritual, the Lord's not putting the spirit on you, you can't see what we're teaching. You read the Bible as if it's a storybook, in a sense. So when you see the beast, you think it's talking about an actual beast. When you see the dragon, you think it's talking about an actual dragon, even though that's what John the Revelator actually saw. He actually saw a dragon, he saw a beast, he saw all of these actual literal things that he wrote about, but they were symbolically, they meant something else. And if the Lord is not dealing with you by putting the Holy Spirit on you to see what's being taught, to understand what the beast is, what the dragon is, what the mark is, the charagma, you're never going to get it. And there's not much I can do. You're never going to get it if he doesn't put the spirit on you to see it. It's as simple as that. So he says, and he deceiveth them that dwells on the earth by the means of these miracles, which is what he did. This is what caused the arms race, the nuclear arms race, because he deceived the Russians. The Russians never knew that they had that power. They knew they was working on something secretly. It was called the Manhattan Project, but they didn't know. And that's what started off the 20th century arms race, is when they saw America do this great wonder by making fire come down from the heavens, from their aeroplanes, on the earth in the sight of men. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When the Russians saw that, that was it. They needed to know what they did to create that. This is where what they call the Cold War, the spying on each other, finding out technology and this and that, the fighting over the German scientists after the Second World War. The Russians and the Americans and the Britons were fighting over the best German scientists because the Germans were producing the best war machines at the time after the Second World War and were producing the best rockets that they were using to fire missiles. When the whole world saw what America did, it was a great wonder. So it says, then they deceived them that dwell on the earth with the means of those miracles which had power to do in the sight of the beast, which is, who is the beast? EU. Said it before, NATO and EU, right? America's ahead of NATO, but the beast is made up of 95% of the members of the beast are from the EU. So when America dropped these 2 nuclear atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, all of Europe that was involved in this war saw this. It terrified them. It even terrified America's allies, the British. Even though they had certain British scientists working with them in the Manhattan Project, they didn't show Britain how to make the atom bomb. So it terrified them, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. And that's what they did. The American system, Americanization, the philosophies of America, the image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Which had the wound by the sword and did live. That wound was to the Roman Empire. We spoke about it a little while ago, right? That disappeared. The eastern part became the major player. It was known as the Byzantine Empire. Europe refers to it as the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages. So that deadly wound was healed. That had the wound by a sword. It was wounded. Vespasian's son Domitian was the last ruler of the western part of the Roman Empire. After that, it was ruled by Jakes. I think it was Nerva was the first so-called black man to rule the western part of the Roman Empire. But the eastern part became the powerhouse, and the western part just disappeared over the next 200 years completely. So that was the wound by the sword, and it did live. That's why it's here today in the form of the European Union and America and NATO. It's all the reincarnation of the Roman Empire. It's lived, it's here today. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many that would worship the image of the beast that should be killed. So what's the image of the beast? It's philosophies, it's way of life, it's love for homosexuality, it's two-party system, it's financial institutions, you know, it's import-export institutions, it's World Banks, the WTO, the WHO. These all represent the image of the beast. This is what these elites, these Illuminatis, this is what they control and run. The whole world. Hollywood is part of the image of the beast. It's sports arenas, it's sports are all part of the image of the beast. The Romans called it, they call it circus and bread. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, a charagma, crux, in their right hand or in their forehead. One more time, we look it up just for edification's sake. I'm not going to spend too long on this, but I just really want to get this. This is what it's about, the charagma. A stamp or imprinted mark. That's what this microchip is going to be. That stamp or imprinted mark that they're going to insert into your body to receive the mark. I mean, I know most of you know this, but we just do this for edification's sake. And that no man might what? Buy or sell, say he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. That no man might buy or sell. What did we just say earlier? Where is it gone here? Hold on. No man might buy or sell, right?
These kind of very.
Let's quickly go back to the beginning of this one. What does she say? What did the young lady say here? This is where we're going, family. Whether you want to believe it or not. And we played this video earlier. We're going to play it again. It's only about a 30-second clip.
Now, if you had the choice to ditch the wallet and pay for something just with the wave of your hand, would you?
One company in Europe is hoping more people jump in on the microchip bandwagon. The British-Polish company Walletmore is selling microchip implants as an alternative to carrying your wallet or your purse.
All right, so what does this mean and how does it work? The chip actually gets implanted into your body.
What?
Preferably on the hand.
No.
And then it's activated through a mobile app.
Right now, the $300 chips are only available in the UK, but right now, over 200 people have gotten this chip implant.
I inserted a potato chip into my body.
Microchip payment implant. What more? How much more clear does it have to be for people to understand that the microchip is the mark, is the charagma? It's also going to have your passport, your driving license, your work history, your medical history, your criminal history, your social credit score is going to be on it. Everything's going to be on this microchip. And I still believe they're going to create a 9/11 event to make it mandatory in the majority of these Western countries. And in the East, where they have more control over their population. So when it says he causes all greats, rich and poor, smaller, to receive a mark, that mark is the charagma. And that no man might what? Buy or sell. What did the lady say? What did we just see? She was paying for it on instead of having a contactless credit card. Say he that has the mark, the charagma, or the name of the beast, which is this man's system, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 603 score and 6. Chi, Psi, Sigma. Chi Stai Stigma 666. It has a meaning. And we're going to finish here. I said I don't want to spend long. I just wanted to just bring this out again. Chi Stai Stigma. All right?
Strong's G 5516. Chi Xi Stigma. Chi Xi Stigma.
Chi Stai Stigma. And if we go to the root of that word, I know most of you know this, but we do this for edification.
Strong's G 4742. Stigma. Stigma.
Just so you understand, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To the ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their God. Some devotees. Who could these devotees be that would do that such a thing? What sort of people would be considered devotees, all right? And we're going to finish with this clip here.
About being able to unlock your car or pay at the store just by waving your hand? Well, a body piercing expert is bringing that to the future in Lansing with a new product. Josh Sanchez is here for you with a look at chip implants.
I went for
At chip implants. So who's going to provide that service for you? Well, let's see.
I guess you could say my final piercing apprenticeship at a shop, and I was there, and things were not progressing the way I wanted my career to go.
Tefero Lanier goes by Hades in the artist community. In February 2021, after selling nearly everything he had, Lanier opened his shop, Flesh, in Lansing's Old Town district.
With this shop comes a lot of innovation. So I'm trying to innovate the entire body art industry when it comes down to body piercing and bring it over to enhancements.
Lanier was interested in technology, so he combined it with his love of body modification to come up with this.
I felt that it belongs in the body enhancement industry. It is an enhancement. The future will be based on it.
The implants with
He said he felt that it belongs in the body. These are your devotees. And the description says, and there was even some devotees who stamped themselves in the way with the token to their gods. Their gods is Esau's new transhumanism, new world order system. That's their gods. They worship this man and his technology. These are your devotees. Just like the Bible said, Chi Stai Stigma. Stigma are those, you're going to have devotees that will do it. They don't need no convincing. This man don't need no convincing. That's what you must understand.
RFID and NFC technology can be connected to smart devices, and it can act like a virtual wallet. The implants are not completely new. Employees at a company in Wisconsin were voluntarily chipped in 2019. Lanier says it's as safe as getting an earring.
Infection rate is minimum, depending on who you are, depending on if you take care of it. That's with any piercing or any enhancement done to your body.
The implants will run around $200, and Lanier says he's excited to be the first to offer them in Lansing.
I'm here at a time in life when this was unheard of, when it was just movies as a child, you know? So now to see that this is actually a thing that's happening and I'm a part of it, it's historical.
Here for you in Lansing.
It's historical. Jake loves the idea of it. He said it's historical. And he said he only used to see this in movies in the past. Now that he's here, these are your devotees, and they're going to convince many other. These are the people that don't need no convincing to get this thing done. None. How people can't see this, I don't know. So when it says here, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body, to ancient Oriental usage, slaves, that's what that man is, he's a slave to the system, right? And soldiers, those that are going to go to the war of Armageddon, to the war of Jehoshaphat, they're going to be microchipped. Those soldiers, they're going to be microchipped. Trust me. Slaves and soldiers bore the name. It's going to be a standard thing in most armies around the world. Are they going to sell it to them? Say, well, if you ever get kidnapped, like what's happening in Ukraine, when these soldiers are getting kidnapped and taken prisoners, we know exactly where you are. It says slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut, not hegemony, cut into the bodies. What was he advertising? How to do it? He's going to provide the service to cut these microchips into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there was even devotees like that man there who stamped themselves, who's gonna willingly microchip themselves in this way with the token to their gods, to their powers. Who are their powers today? This technology, this new world order system. Esau is their god, basically. He can't wait to microchip people, this guy. But as we always know, right? That's where it's going. We know what their end is. The Lord made it quite clear, and we're going to finish here. Revelations, I think it's Revelations 14 or 1. 14 or 15, hold on. Doom for worshippers of the beast, devotees, those that worshipped the power of the beast, which is this EU, NATO, reincarnation, the Roman Empire system that we live under today, that Esau controls and runs. And the third angel, Revelations 14 and 9, followed them, saying with a great loud voice, if any man, when it says any man, it means any man or woman, worship the beast, its image, its system, its love for the two-party voting system, its love for this money, fiat money system, its love for Esau's technology, its love for homosexuality, its love for white Jesus and all these other third-party religions, Islam, that they worship. His love for this freedom that this man gives them based on this man's values. If any man worship the beast and his image, his philosophy, his way of life, everything that he's selling you, and receives his mark, it's not a kiss or a hug, it's the microchip implant in his forehead or in his hand, which the Jake just showed us, right? In his piercing shop. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh's, the wrath of the Most High, that is, right? Which is poured out. When it says the wrath of the Most High, the wine, it's talking about this, what it says here, which is poured out without mixture, right? Into the cup of his indignation. It's the judgment. ICBMs and everything else that's going to come from the war of Armageddon and the destruction and the civil unrest that's going to lead up to the war in all of these countries around the world. You think what's going on in Sri Lanka is just going to stay in Sri Lanka? They're burning down the city in Sri Lanka, but they're not showing you. No fuel. They run out of dollars, reserves. They're living off of someone else's credit. I think India is going to loan them some credit to help them get fuel for their ambulances and their fire trucks and their hospitals. It's total meltdown in Sri Lanka. Because Sri Lanka drank from the cup, the fornication of Babylon, the great America, and many other countries do the same. Which poured out without mixture into the cup of indignation, he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone, which is the nuclear destruction, in the presence of the holy angels. The angels are going to witness those nuclear missiles destroying many cities and Babylon the Great, the United States of America. The angels are going to witness those nuclear missiles fired on Israel. And then the angels themselves are going to take their UFOs, their chariots, and they're going to complete the destruction of Babylon the Great, the United States of America. And then they're going to defeat all of the armies around the world. And in the war of Armageddon in the Middle East, they're going to defeat every single soldier. There's going to be so much death in the Middle East, America, Israel, and certain cities around the world will be hit by nuclear missiles. and the chariots to take down these principalities, these governments, these powers that rule the world. And they shall be tormented with fire. That's what these nuclear missiles are going to do. They're going to torment the cities that they're going to hit with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He's going to witness it, and he's going to command these angels to commit this destruction and devastation, and then he's going to join in. It's going to be a beautiful day. Salvation, the taking down of all of these nations, these immoral, wicked, hypocritical, demonic, satanic rulerships of the world, the Illuminati, the elites, the powers that be, the shadow governments. It's going to be a historic day. Say no more. So on that note, I'm going to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who are leading this word in truth and spirit and sincerity. And salutations to my fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters that have been truly edified by the truth of the scriptures. For we are the prophets of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, prophesying the downfall of Babylon the Great, prophesying that the mark of the beast is the microchip and the salvation of the true children of Israel. For you know who you are, Israel, scattered amongst the other nations and in the Americas. Shalom, 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 family. All praises.